does it feel? How have you been doing, adjusting to life here in Tacoma?
So it's been great. I couldn't be more pleased with the reception I've got, not only from my troops here, which has been awesome, but from City Hall, the mayor's office, my boss, and even the community. I've been able to go out and visit with some business owners. I've been able to visit with some churches, and the reception has just been great. So very pleased with that.
Okay, and you spent before here you were in Dallas. You worked your way up for the Dallas Police Department, and I guess one of the things I asked you, what are some of the things that you've noticed that's different here in Tacoma as opposed to Dallas?
So without being overly specific, just the processes.
Mm-hmm.
One example would be the promotion process is different. The appointment process is different as it relates to deputy chiefs, assistant chiefs. So those processes are different. And then even some of the hiring processes are different. But I'm learning. And the biggest difference is having to operate with the unions. That's something I'm learning daily. So that's been different.
Okay, and when you came here, one of the things that you've come in during a time when Tacoma has been dealing with a surge in crime. Recently, there have been increases almost across the board, not just in Tacoma, but throughout Western Washington. And I guess the thing that a lot of people have been talking about in Tacoma is what is going to be done in order to address this surge in crime, and what are your thoughts on addressing this surge?
So if you recall, when I interviewed, I did a presentation, and the idea was to identify the top 3 or primary issues that Tacoma was facing. They weren't in any particular order, but I talked about crime, and I said what we would do here is have a comprehensive crime plan, which we've already began the initial phase of that. So I've reached out to the firm, it's actually University of Texas in San Antonio, and we're starting that process now. So we will have a comprehensive plan. It's going to be scientific based, based on our intelligence, our data, as it relates to what we've compiled here in the city of Tacoma. So it's going to be very specific. We're going to address violent crime, and there is a combination or a connection to property crime. So the goal is to reduce the violent crime and the property crime. It is going to take a community approach. As I also said, we can't do it independently. It's an unfair ask to expect police to deal with crime all by themselves. It's completely unrealistic. It's going to take a us mindset, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So the crime plan, again, it's in its infancy style now, but there's also going to be a community layer to that, where they're either going to do a virtual meeting or send out a survey and get your ideologies as it relates to how you think we should address crime, where you think that need is primarily, and we'll compile it all. We'll roll it out, and it'll be available for everybody to look at it, that wants to look at it. It's going to be transparent. It's not going to be anything hidden. It's not going to be over-policing any area, because everybody will have a voice in this if you choose to. So I look forward to that.
Right, I think that kind of leads to my next question, as far as because you've been a strong advocate for community involvement and community engagement when it comes to policing and community policing, and you said that the police shouldn't have to deal with crime on its own, but can you also talk about why do you think having community involved in dealing with crime, why do you think that is so important, such a large part of your approach to dealing with crime in Tacoma?
Because the other side of that coin is over-policing. If you don't have a voice, if you don't get to share your expectations, then you can be a victim of over-policing. This plan is not going to do that. I don't believe in over-policing. I believe that people want to be policed, and I believe that they want the criminal element to be weeded out of the community. And given a voice, I think they'll aid us in that. respect. So my plan is basically kind of threefold. It's weed the criminals out of the community, sow into those communities, which I referenced to seeding, and then feeding positivity, not only within the police department, but within the community. Us having that us mindset instead of us versus them, which again, that's where all that over-policing ideology comes from.
Right. Well, speaking to the community approach, one incident that has been a somewhat strong source of tension between the community and the police has been the death of Emanuel Ellis. And regarding that incident, with things like that happening and that still being fresh on the minds of many in Tacoma, how do you, as the incoming police chief, how do you address that?
So number one, whenever you lose a life, it's a tragic situation that everybody feels. We feel it here in the police department. I felt it just in the interview process. That shadow was here because it's somewhat unresolved, and I hadn't got to the case yet. As it gets to me, I can be more transparent with what I'm reading and the decisions that I'm going to make as it relates to that. But as I've told you before, I don't speak from ignorance because I think that's disrespectful, not only to the process, but to the families that have been impacted, as well as disrespectful to the community and the police department. So as I get my bearings around that case, I'll be in a position to make an opinion and offer what I think is the best just solution as it relates to the police department and the officers that are involved.
All right. With that being said, do you think that having a more community-led approach to policing and making sure the community is involved, do you think that might help mitigate some of those incidents like the death of Ellis, like keep that from happening, or maybe try to restore some of the trust that's been lost over incidents like this?
I think all of the above. That's my heart's desire, that it'll never happen again. Again, when someone loses their life, regardless of the circumstances, it's a tragedy for the family. And you can't replace that feeling for them. You can't mitigate it for them. You hope to provide some closure, and that's what we want to do, and then build good, strong relationships. So stuff like this won't be hanging over a city, won't be hanging over communities, won't be hanging over a police department. So that's my heart's goal, that we can partner really well, have a good, strong, transparent, honest relationship to where when someone is doing bad things that are egregious, that we all can agree and unite and have that foundation already built and get that person out of the community.
Well, another topic that's been top of mind for many in Tacoma has been homelessness and housing insecurity. It's been something that Tacoma has been grappling with for some time. At this point, there was a sweep that took place a few weeks ago down on the 705 encampment, and despite where kind of things are, there has been talk for a camping ban to be implemented in Tacoma. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on the idea of implementing a camping ban in the city of Tacoma.
So, it's my job and responsibility to uphold the law. I don't write policy, so right now there is no policy. I don't believe those that are victims of homelessness, it's criminal. I don't believe that. I think our responsibility is not a police responsibility solely. I think, again, that's more of a community, citywide responsibility, ensuring that people that want resources get them, and helping them help themselves. So I am aware that there was I hate to say a sweep, but a removal of a camp, still in the stages of removing people, because not everybody received the resources that were offered. So when you don't want to receive the resources, then we have to move you. The police department is secondary in that space. We go out with, and I forget the entity that actually operates that. But we go out with them. Neighborhood and Community Services, thank you. And we support them in that. But it's not criminal. I don't think it should be. I think people that suffer from homelessness need resources. And it's our responsibility from a city perspective to offer them and follow through with that. And then helping them help themselves.